Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Kaz Ramirez. I'm over here at the Universal Orlando Resort. Today, we're exploring careers in the arts for the Florida Alliance for the Arts Education. And I have two wonderful artists with me today. I mean, they're really great people. One of them I know because I went to school with them. The first one will be David Becker with the University of Florida. And then we have, later on, we'll have Peter Carolyn, an artist from North Central Florida. They got a lot of stuff to show you and tell you nice stuff about exciting careers in the arts. So first person we're going to start with today is going to be David Becker. So, hey, David, how are you?
Excellent, Cause. How are you?
Oh, man, great. Listen, I'm excited to see some of the stuff that you got. But before we see some of the stuff that you brought with you, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions because I'm sure, you know, all the kids they always want to know what's going on. What type of artist are you? So what type of artist are you?
Well, I'm kind of a hybrid of things. I'm a musician, woodwinds, primarily saxophone, flute, clarinet. I also play bagpipes and steel drum. And I am also a recording engineer, certified in Pro Tools. And that has helped me to just be versatile in the music world, and I can explain more of that when we show the slides later.
Oh, that's pretty good, David, because you know the part about having careers in art is the more versatile you are, the more they call you, and we all know that for sure. So listen, let's see. When did you first decide you wanted to be an artist, and what was happening in that moment that made you decide? I mean, any ideas about that?
Well, you'd have to go back to when I was 10 years old, 1975, so everyone can do the math on how old I am. Went over to my best friend's house, and he had just started playing alto saxophone. And I remember he was playing a tune called Tijuana Taxi, and I went, wow, that's cool. I want to do that. I run home, and I tell my parents, and we went the next day to a pawn shop and got a Vito alto sax for $75. And my father, it was already in my family, music was. My father has been an entertainer since he was 15. My oldest brother is a drummer. So it was going to eventually be part of my life.
So the bug was going to bite you, right? The bug was going to bite you no matter what, right?
No matter what. Yep, exactly.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Well, listen, here's another thing. Like, for instance, all our listeners, they always want to know, like, what's your background? And I know you mentioned a little bit about it at the beginning, how you did it, that you're a recording engineer, that you played saxophone. Like, give me some educational background that you got. So.
Well, I mean, you know, people always wonder why I play bagpipes. Well, I grew up in a Scottish-founded town, Dunedin, which is right near Clearwater, Florida. And anyone in middle school who was a good woodwind player, they just said, come on, you want to start playing bagpipes, so you spend a year on the chanter. So I played bagpipes. And then after high school, I went to the University of Florida to get my undergraduate degree in music education, and that's where you and I know each other from, those years in the mid-'80s. And then after that, I went out on cruise ships as a professional musician and really learned how to play clarinet and flute. You have to do that as a woodwind player, just for Broadway shows and such. And then while I was there, I met my eventual wife, who's from California. So in 1996, we moved to California, and that's where I learned all my recording skills. A good friend of mine, who I played music with, had started a recording 4-semester track of classes, and right after I finished the 4 classes, I ended up teaching the first 2 semesters of it because they needed someone to teach them. So I was just right place, right time, and so now fast forward 5 years later from that, last year, I realized I needed to get my master's degree to really go further in higher education teaching at the university level. And so I come back to University of Florida and get my master's degree in music education here. And so that's kind of a quick synopsis, and you can see with the slides we're going to show up here soon what I'm doing with all those skills.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Now, of course, this one leads into this next question. Probably is actually an extension of the first one. So, what role do you believe that the artist or artists in general have in society?
Well, gosh, it's a very important role. I mean, living in the United States, it's most of the world looks on us as very materialistic, and And because we're such a young country, we're sometimes looked at as lacking in culture, and this is because we don't have a long history. But between visual art and music and dance, all of these things, these very important aesthetic qualities of life, art is it's beauty, and so many people are either not exposed to that beauty enough and don't have as fulfilling a life as they could. And it's our job as music educators, art educators, dancers, and entertainers to bring that beauty to them and fulfill their life. So I think that's our most important role.
So have you seen that role change throughout your career? Of like, has it grown more? Has there been more interest in the arts in your career as an artist?
Boy, it's tough to say because I only have my perspective, and moving around different parts of the country, it's different everywhere you go. I'm still finding my way as far as what my wife always asks me, so you're gaining all these skills, what are you going to do with your life? I don't know, but something good is coming. And but what I am embracing is all the technology. You know, YouTube is a wonderful thing. It allows kids to go on and search for all kinds of music around the world. So the world's become this much smaller place, and we can expose ourselves to art. It's just much more accessible. So I think it's definitely going in a positive direction in that aspect.
Oh, yeah, I think it's way positive because now if I want anything, I just have to pull it up on the computer, like you said, on YouTube. And in the past, I used to have to go to my local libraries or my college library and go to the music library, check out an album, and then actually put it on. And that took forever. And if they didn't have it, you had to order it and stuff. So you're absolutely right. The accessibility of all the arts, music, anything you want, it's right there at your fingertips. And that's a good thing for students nowadays, that they have that advantage that we didn't have when we were growing up. So listen, here's another question. So oftentimes, art careers are pegged as dead ends with no hope for making a living wage. How has your experience differed from that stereotype? Well, you could ask me too.
Well, I tell you what. Okay, so yeah, I know, because when they say you're a what major? Oh, well, you must really love what you do. Well, yes, because if you get into the arts to make money, you're kidding yourself. What you're getting into it for is the most rewarding experience, as long as you put your heart and soul into it, because you're surrounding yourself with other artists and other positive people and people who are just after that aesthetic, that beauty, those fulfilling things. When you go and hear a fantastic band or a very emotional performance, it moves you and stays with you. And those types of experiences you can't put a price on. So I'm constantly searching for new ways to integrate myself in, broadening myself, making myself more marketable in the music world, because times are changing, and if technologically, if you're not exploring those avenues, then you're limiting yourself as far as marketability. I learned how to record. I just finished my first master's degree because I'm starting another one in the fall. In digital art and science. So I'm going to learn the video side of things, and also I'm going to be I have an opportunity to write music for video games. So I feel like that could be the direction I'm going to go for the next 10 years.
Well, you know, David, I'd like to chime in here with that. People always ask me the same thing. And you know that, I got my degree in piano, right? And people are going to say, well, you must have really loved piano. Well, yeah, I did love piano, but my flexibility is what helped me out. Like, for instance, and, I studied, while I was studying piano at UF, I actually took musical theater classes. And that's actually helped me here at UO, because basically I had a good foundation, a good background for I'm an art supervisor now, so basically for all the things that I've been doing lately, like putting shows together, determining what sort of music is to sound all right, and mixing of bands and all that flexibility that I learned with my initial Bachelor's of Arts, or Bachelor of Music is what it was, I was able to turn that flexibility into something marketable where I was able to make some money and make a decent living. So I'm right there with you. As the more versatile and the more flexible and the more you learn, the more you'll have a better ability to adapt with the ever-changing marketplace, and you can make yourself marketable, and you could have a fruitful career in the arts, which is what we're talking about today, and actually make a living and like I did, start a family. So I totally agree with you. Now, if you had to give art students hope for their future in the arts, what would you say?
I would say when the phone rings and they ask you, do you do such and such? Always say yes. Never say no. And immediately start. Immediately start. Just doing your research. I have a friend who worked at Disney. He was from Pennsylvania. An incredible clarinetist, Jim Buckman, and he got a call from Disney, and they said, "We know you're a great clarinet player. Do you happen to play banjo?" He said, "As a matter of fact, I do." He didn't play a note, but he had 3 months. He had 3 months to go ahead and practice banjo, and he knew enough. When he came down, he was ready, and there you go. So never.
That's exactly how I do it.
never turn down anything. You have the talent. You have to believe in yourself. You have the talent. You already know enough about music. You can play one instrument. You can play another. And if it's anything arts related, you have it in you. You're already using that part of your brain. So just run with it. It's out there for you to take.
All right, that's awesome. That is great. Listen, this is the last question before because I'm excited to see some of the media that you have to present, and I'm sure everybody that's listening wants to see some, and viewing as well, wants to see some of the media.
I think of us talking already,
I know, right? So this will be the last one. So what's the most fulfilling aspect of your career today? And you can answer it, and then we'll probably roll in right into your media after that.
Great. Well, real quick, this last year, getting my master's degree, I'm a graduate assistant, and so I was teaching jazz arranging. And I had 4 kids in my class who were all jazz minors. So only one was a music, getting their degree in music. I had a physics student, an architecture student, and an engineer. And this last semester, they all wrote their first big band chart, and we recorded them in the last week of school, and they all came out. I mean, all of these could be published. They're fantastic. And just to see those kids go through the whole process of learning how to write for a little combo, for a sax quintet, and then all of a sudden write for a complete 18-piece big band, their first chart, and it sounds wonderful. I just go, I'm the proud teacher, and they even emailed me. 3 of them are still in town, and they said, we want to get together for lunch on Friday. We want to take you out. So it's just, that is being a teacher, to see kids grow like that and get it and have that fire in their eye and that drive to do that. It's just, that's the most fulfilling thing for me at this present time.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, all right, David, thank you so much. And I'm sure I'm excited to see what you got to show us. So why don't we go ahead and see that now?
Yeah, roll that first video. So that was a kind of a promotional video that my friend Scott Wilson, who's the head of the jazz department at University of Florida, put together. And And you know, promoting yourself is very important. You know, getting your own website together, business cards, having a Facebook page, networking yourself with all the social media is very important, because that's where people are trying to find you. That's where you're going to get some work. So embrace all of those and get your, you know, it's so easy to build your own website right now too. So
that was awesome. Well, that was really good.
So you know, it's good to have little promotional videos like that to market yourself. And I'm looking at the time here, and I don't want to step into Peter's
you're right.
time.
So I need to. So thank you, David.
Thanks, Cos. Let's turn it over to the other arts master here. He's actually sitting right beside me. So
all right.
Real quick here, though. Real quick here, David. Do you want to throw in a couple of your other short examples? Because they are real short. They'd be great to let them hear a couple of the short ones. Just tell me which ones you want.
Real quick, we'll do the first one here. And let me just preface it. My latest project is doing all of the jazz examples for the Race to the Top project, which is an arts assessment database for the state of Florida educators to assess kids K through 12 in the arts. And I was asked to do all of the writing, arranging, recording for that project. And this first one, they asked me to do a swing big band version of Tchaikovsky's Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies. And so here it is.
Yeah. All right, that sounded great.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool with technology. I played all the saxophones. I had Scott Wilson play all the trumpet, and this other gentleman, Kevin Hicks, who's another graduate assistant, play all the trombones. We laid down the rhythm section in one day, came in the next day and laid part by part and put it together, and all of a sudden you've got a big band, and it's wonderful for technology. The one other thing I want to play would be the Mill Hopper one, Gary. And this one has a female vocalist on it, and the beauty of technology is the girl you hear singing on this is in California. I recorded everything else in Florida. I'm on FaceTime with my engineer friend in California, and my vocalist comes over to his house, and I watch the recording session. They lay down the voice and then put it in a file in Dropbox and send it back to me, and so I can use any musician in the world I want this way, and so can everyone else. So we love technology, and so here's a little Neil Young parody called Mill Hopper Mist.
Early day at Mill Hopper. Take a breath, relax, close my eyes, and dream. It takes me no time to recall all of the good days spent here and the nights staring up at the moon and stars and Mill Hopper's Mill.
Wow!
And Kaz, that was for Devil's Mill Hopper up on 39th Street. So.
Wow, you're bringing back memories.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate it, and but I got to move on to Peter because we're going to run out of time here. So our next artist is you're welcome, David. Thank you so much. Our next artist is Peter Carolyn. He's an artist in North Central Florida, and you can see his picture here. He's great. How you doing, Peter?
Hi, nice to meet you, Kaz.
Okay, oh, good. Listen, Peter, of course everybody wants to know, we're going to go through the questions, so what type of artist are you?
Hi, primarily I'm a landscape painter. When I was working as an artist full-time, currently I'm part-time teacher, adjunct faculty at Santa Fe Community College. But
awesome.
I would wake up in the morning, decide just like a person who is doing what they love to do. I would get up and say, I think I'm going to the beach today. I would get up close to sunrise, maybe before sunrise, drive to the beach, set up my paints, set up my painting, and paint a beautiful sunrise, paint the waves all day, jump in the water, come out. That's the experience of being a full-time artist, is full-time work, but you're loving it. You are enjoying being what you grew up to be.
Well, that is great. Well, all right, Peter. So listen, when did you first decide to be an artist, and what was happening in your life at that moment that made you decide?
I would say that the turning point for me was actually the middle of my sophomore year in college. I was studying a year of abroad in France, and I had experienced at home in the United States several art museums, seen many beautiful sculptures, drawings, paintings, and finally when I went to Europe and saw the real thing, a country that had thousands of years of art tradition, I just felt this is what I have to be. I didn't know how I would make a living. I didn't know how I would support myself exactly. I just knew that art was a very meaningful and valuable thing. So that's the moment that I made that decision.
Wow, that must have been a pretty big decision there. Listen, everybody always wants to know the artist's background. So could you fill me in a little bit on that, please?
Well, I suppose as a high school student, I was doing everything that high school students do. I was playing sports. I was taking music classes, science classes, English, math. I liked many subjects. My parents were trying to push me toward becoming a scientist or a doctor, like many parents want their kid to grow up to be president or a doctor or a lawyer. And I was doing fine, but I had a shock in high school that playing football, somebody put his helmet in my back and broke my back. So
wow.
It changed my perspective a little, that I realized, okay, I'm not going to be a football star in college, and I'm not even going to ever play many sports again. And I began focusing on the other things that I also love doing, like drawing and painting and music. I had my first oil painting class when I was 15. A lot of this is after school, doing something that I loved, and I still thought that school should focus on something practical. So I was still really preparing myself to be what my parents also expected of me. Back in the 1970s, especially if you're from a big family, when you're 18, you were expected to be on your own, and that meant either get a job or get a scholarship to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a scholarship to college, and then I'll just sort of fast forward. I went through college, got a scholarship to graduate school, continued to succeed and win awards, and then my first job out of college was teaching in a grade school in Middleburg Elementary, and I really loved that little school. But I also, as an artist, as a sculptor, I won a grant to live a month in a castle on the French Riviera, and it was a life of living in a real castle. So after that month was over, I met world-famous artists, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to make my big break like a person who's living small-time life suddenly to become a superstar. And then I went back home, and the very week I was back teaching in the classroom again. And after school, I was crawling under the tables, picking up crayons the kids dropped on the floor. And I knew if I didn't pick them up, the janitor would vacuum them up, and I had to pick them up. So somehow crawling around on the floor, I said to myself, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm going to keep working. And it took me 15 years as a teacher to break out of teaching and then make a living full-time as an artist. So I was really happy for, I guess, over 10 years. I was making art full-time and could really just really be very free to be creative. But it took 15 years to break out of that day job. Now, after 9/11, the economy went from very good to very hard to sell art. People weren't coming out in public. And then after 2007, the economy dropped down again. So somehow I was just ready to make that change again, to start teaching part-time and making art part-time, to, as other artists would say, to be flexible and to do what it takes to make a living, to support yourself as an adult, to be responsible, to have a job, but also to be responsible to yourself and follow your dream and keep working on being an artist.
And that's awesome, Peter. Listen, you've answered a whole bunch of questions that I had all together there. That was pretty great. I mean, yeah, we all understand that sometimes you just have to be flexible, like we said before. So I would like to just, before I see your media, because I'm anxious and I really want to see your media and I want to see what it looks like. So if you had any advice to give art students a hope for their future in the arts, what would you say to wrap it up here?
Well, I would say that as an artist, as a fine artist, it's a little different from being a performer. Rather than being always outside, I guess, public, a lot of what you do is private. A lot of what you do is going into your heart, into your emotions and your feelings and exploring that. And then when you finally create something, whether it's a drawing or a comic book or whatever thing that you want to share with people, they actually, finally, when you go public with your creation, that's when you're sharing something even deeper than if you were always out in public. So I think a lot of young artists, they have sensitive, very private feelings that they're exploring all about themselves on the inside. And when they put that into their art medium, whether it's color or shading, or then they're really expressing something that other people also have. Other people also have deep feelings, and then when they see what the artist created with feelings, it sort of honors all people. It honors all people are meaningful, or your feelings do matter, or that you matter as a person. So art is very valuable to society.
That is very good, because it's true. It's all about it. It doesn't matter what medium it is, if it's music or visual or anything like that. As long as it moves you and it inspires you to greatness, that's the true meaning of, especially in my experience, what art is all about. It's the inspiration, not only that you get, but that you use it to inspire other people as well. So with that in mind,
I just could I add one other point?
Yes.
Too?
Yes.
For students, I think that sometimes there could be a kid who's like a bully in the class, and then everyone else sees it happening, and then whether the artist is the victim or just a vicarious observer, a bystander, the artist usually is the person who cares about people who are hurt, or cares about suffering, or cares about the underdog. So artists usually care about baby seals or animals in nature, care about many environmental topics. And what I'd like to say is that's just part of being a sensitive person. And even though other kids may laugh at that, that actually that is a very strong value, to value life, to value life in animals and trees and nature, and to value people. So the point I wanted to make is that when you become an adult, well, when you're young adult or a child, a lot of times people pick on someone who seems more sensitive, are considered more weird or different. And I think that I want them to know that actually when you become an adult artist or a musician or someone creating and expressing and controlling emotions, you have the power over your own emotions, and then you actually become a person who everyone seeks out. Artists are always asked to donate paintings and sculptures and things to charity auctions because people want art. So this will help people who are suffering from cancer. This will help protect nature, all the animals you care about. You actually can donate to conservation groups and help protect the wildlife. And musicians do the same thing. They're constantly giving charity concerts and playing music for people's events, which then become the key to fundraising and then donations to really help to cure cancer, to help people in hospitals. Whatever the human cause is, all of a sudden the artists and the musicians and the dancers and the performers, we all become kind of the voice for humanity, and then everyone decides, without being taxed, they just decide to give, and they all give and donate to other human beings who really need help. So I think that arts well, we can get on. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, Peter, I absolutely agree with you. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's awesome. It's really, really good, and I'm sure the kids love to hear all this stuff. But we're running a little short on time, and I'd like to see some of your media. So if that's possible,
okay,
we bring it up.
I'll try to be more rapid. All right, this is a sketch. I wanted to be as a young student like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, so I did what you have to do. If you want to get good at something, you go draw and draw and draw people. So I spent hundreds of hours drawing dead bodies, and in a medical school. So these are actually hands of a dead person. Okay, next. This is a drawing of a student of mine when I was a young art teacher, and I primarily like light, beautiful scenery and things, but also art can get darker and sad. She had a very sad phone call from her father who was very sick, and it changed the whole drawing from a happy drawing to a sad drawing, and that in the art world also gets respect. Okay, next. Then this is a large painting. This was part of me breaking out of teaching. It was one of 4 large paintings that was sold to Naylor Publishing Company at their corporate headquarters. And everything, takes, I spent years making paintings, then 4 large ones sold, and I had money to work as an artist for another 9 months. Okay. I've done several paintings at the beach. Here's one, and you can look at the next one. This is at Crescent Beach. And this is over at Daytona Beach. The sand, you can see, has got a little bit of that yellow ochre color, or orange, maybe like orange Georgia clay. Next. This painting was purchased by Santa Fe College for their library. It's 5.5 by 8 feet long. And I'm exploring just the idea of a beautiful day that a person can feel relaxing. Living in Florida, we love Florida. In 1990, I worked as a summer job as an illustrator for a newspaper. So this was an illustration that went to the fashion column. I also love sculpture. My master's degree was in painted bas-relief sculpture. This is a medium a lot of students might not recognize, but if you think about the pictures on coins or money or what you call a plaque, it's actually a flat sculpture. Something like the Statue of Liberty is a full 3D. This is a low sculpture. Next. This is a small picture kind of representing an abstract painting. That sometimes artists just are totally, like in music, there's jazz music, there's different styles of music. In cartoons, if somebody's angry, they'll make dark zigzags by the person's face. So abstract art is more of that kind of expression. So this is a combination of natural art, looking at the spring. This is at Manatee Springs, but also looking at the ripples on the water and just thinking of the feeling of strong ripples and little ripples, the big rhythm and the loud and the quiet all play against each other. And that's what abstract painting is really more about, movement and sound effects, noises, something other than just making a picture. Well, I know you want me to move along. This is an example of portraiture. As an art teacher, I drew several students and gave that for them to give to their parents, and that helped them feel important. That if you're an artist and you are good at drawing people, it's good to just give them the picture. Now, as a professional, as an adult, you can sometimes sell them for thousands of dollars, even just a drawing for hundreds of dollars. I was surprised that a drawing like this was selling for over $450. And yeah, okay, go ahead. And here's another version of partially abstract and partially realistic. Every artist is trying to find their style or their expression. And I just love the way clouds pop up in this kind of Florida weather climate. And here's this painting I recall was sold to Barnett Bank for one of their offices in Jacksonville. And you can see on a different day there's a different mood. Just like any time you go to a lake, sometimes you sit quietly and pass each other worms and go fishing, and sometimes you're riding on a jet ski or a speedboat, and emotion and expression are a big part of art. That's a more quiet picture. Now this is a more loud picture, lots of action, lots of details, zigzagging. This is owned by a lawyer in Orlando. And many of my paintings are large. This sculpture, however, is smaller. As I was saying, the large paintings are 5 foot, 8 foot, sometimes 10 feet long. This is a smaller sculpture, and it's trying to catch a little bit of the motion of the horses kicking at each other or flexing their muscles. And it's something to try to capture energy. And this one can be our final image for the show, or the last one I'd like to mention, that this is another emotion. Clouds are slowly melting into the distance, slowly evaporating. The leaves of the palm fronds are lightly floating, lightly suspended. And standing before a large image is just like standing before nature. You get a chance to really breathe in the beauty around you, and somehow you become part of it. You feel more at peace as a person. So this kind of artwork, I think, often is in hospitals, or psychologists even think of it as therapeutic to help a patient, that if a person feels bad, they can look at beautiful art or they can listen to beautiful music, and it can actually lift them up emotionally, and just like medicine, it can lift them up chemically, biologically.
Well, Peter, that was absolutely great. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Peter Carolyn, an artist in North Central Florida, and before that we had David Becker from the University of Florida, and I'm Kaz Ramirez with the Florida Alliance for the Arts Education, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here exploring careers in the arts. So thank you to all my artists, and most of all, thank you to all our viewers, because you guys were absolutely phenomenal, and hopefully you've been able to see some of the interesting careers that we have in the arts.